notes this week, fellas. It's all.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome into another edition of the Giants Brawl podcast, brought to you by the Brawl Network. As always, I get to be your host for this episode, Usaid Koshal. Go ahead and shoot me a follow on Twitter at Usaid Koshal. Anthony Rivardo's in the house as well with us today. He looks like he just woke up, but he didn't. He just had dinner. He's super tired. So follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Rivardo for anything and everything Giants related. And then if you like grande hot caramel macchiatos with whipped cream from Starbucks, go ahead and shoot Mike Trainer a follow on Twitter at Mike Trainer MFT. Seriously, he's just gonna make the randomest of shit pop up on your timeline. So that's why he's worth the follow. And on with us for the second time, I think in like 6 weeks, is Jules. You can follow him on Twitter at Jules914718. It's got something to do with area codes. So we're just gonna leave it at that. But what's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
What's up, brother? Ready to do this. Let's get it.
All right. Obviously, guys, we had the, you know, all that Rooney Rule stuff, the thing where you like had to interview minority candidates first. And obviously, this pertains to the Giants organization because, like, we had an African-American GM in Jerry Reese who just could not do his job correctly and draft. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure if he did, the Giants would have had like 3 Super Bowls. But we argued about that the last time Jules was on. You know, but the whole like thing came out where if you like hire a minority GM or like head coach, you would get to move up in the 3rd round. I honestly think like that's a stupid idea because one, it's just dumb by the NFL to even do that. I mean, you do have to get more of these guys in like these leadership positions because it's all like old white guys doing it. But the real issue is it's like it's just going to mess with the compensatory pick formula. And teams are still going to be like super hesitant to do it. Anthony, I'll start with you because you're quiet. What do you think?
I don't know. I just don't really even understand why they would propose a rule like that. I don't know what that serves to accomplish or what that improves. Like, obviously, I agree with you. It is all just old white dudes, and we should probably do something to fix that. But that's definitely not the solution. And I think that was just a really stupid and tone-deaf rule to even throw out there by the NFL.
Yeah, old white dudes are eventually going to die out. So the NFL can look forward to that. You know, I don't really care for it. It's stupid. In the 3rd round, I mean, it's kind of degrading to minorities to begin with. You know? I want like the best man for the job. I don't give a shit what color you are. I don't care. I don't care if you're, you know, that Jenner guy that still has a dick, but he's wearing dresses. He's getting titties. Like, I don't give a shit. If you could do the job, you can make the Giants better. Let's get him in there, man. I don't care. I mean, to move up in like the 3rd round, like, I mean, I might try to play like tricks. I might hire like, you know, Snoop Dogg right before the draft and fire the next day and just blame it on too much weed. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like where I will go. Like I you know, we had, like you said, we had a good, you know, black GM. You know, he was good for us, you know, for a minute or two. I was rooted for before Gettleman. I know you guys think I'm a diehard Gettleman fan, but I was rooting for Louis Riddick to be our GM of the Giants at the time. I love
me too.
You know, so that's me. That's my opinion.
I mean, the one crazy thing that you have to keep in mind is that this all originated from when Tony Dungy and Dennis Green got fired within the same year. And Dennis Green had one losing season up until that point after a 10-year stint with the Minnesota Vikings. And then you had Dungy, who got fired, that literally had a winning record at the time. And yet, one of the coaches that actually came out on the forefront and spoke out about it is Tony Dungy and said that he doesn't even like what these things are being implicated in these changes. He's like, he gave a number of points, you know, ranging from that, first of all, it might create some sort of resentment between all other coaches within the NFL. You know, like you have this guy just getting this job simply because of the fact that he's a minority. You know, it also then, with these incentives of these draft picks, it can almost be looked at as if this is sort of helping a coach build a team, right? Because now you hire a minority coach and they're getting all these additional picks. So now it's not even something that they're earning because it's just added on. And also, it's just something that was kind of blown out of proportion because everyone's sort of leaning towards thinking that Eric Bieniemy should have gotten some more coaching like opportunities simply because of what he's done with the Chiefs over the last 2 seasons. Number 1 offense in 2018, number 3 in 2000 and last year. They win the Super Bowl. Here he is, the offense coordinator. and yet he didn't really interview for any head coaching jobs. And you can look at it one of two ways. Was it just because he as a coach isn't ready to take that next step, or is it the fact that maybe he just was overlooked at this current point, and when Kansas City has another great offense this year, he's going to be one of the hottest commodities out there.
Bro, the thing is, right, with these like guys who come from the Andy Reid coaching tree, is they're there for years. And like for Bieniemy, I mean, you look at like the last couple offensive coordinators that came out of that system and went on to be head coaches. Like they were pretty good their first year, and like Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson. But I think like for Bieniemy, like he didn't get the offers this year, but this year, like let's be real, it was a freaking dry like coaching. None of the gigs were like super appealing. But next year, and it was a dry crop of coaching candidates anyway, after like what we saw in like 2017 with Sean McVay, and then like 2018 with like Matt Nagy and the dude in Indianapolis who looks like Harry Potter's granddad, Frank Reich. And then so the thing is it's like I think 2021 is gonna be like more different, because you will see like a lot of guys like Dan Quinn, for example, in Atlanta get fired. And then you're going to see a guy like Bieniemy walk into a situation where he's going to have like a better team this year, or like in 2021, and a better situation than what he could have gotten in like 2018 or 2020. And the thing is, like a lot of these minority coaches, some of them are like whatever, positional coaches or whatever, so they may not be head coaches and coordinators, but they do a pretty damn good job of like coaching these guys up, because a lot of them are also former players.
You're only as good as your players. You know what I mean? I think they just came down with a rule. The NFL just agreed that you can't block assistants from interviewing for other teams.
Yep.
That's huge, because a lot of times guys get screwed out of jobs because of that. So you might see an uptick in minorities getting better positions.
Yeah, I think like it's all something to like really watch and look forward to. But honestly, I know some people are gonna like next off season. I don't think we're gonna revisit this argument. I just think what's gonna happen is that like it's gonna be something that like what happened the last couple of days, you're gonna have to see play out over like the next 3, 4, 5 years, because that's really gonna tell whether like the rule that they passed today at the virtual owners meetings, if this like really made any sense.
I didn't know they were doing the virtual meetings today.
I'm pretty sure, bro. Yeah, I think all that stuff is in Los Angeles, dude. Or it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be in LA every year, but like they have it in they're supposed to be like before the draft, and then they pushed it back. So I think like all the owners are voting. I don't even care too much about the virtual meetings generally, because they just vote and talk about like the randomest of stuff. Like last year, it was like that pass interference call that like cost the Saints a trip to like the Super Bowl, or like 2 years ago. That's what it was.
The one that Michael Thomas is still crying about?
Yeah, that one. Did you see the beef he got into with freaking Devontae Parker, dude? That
was hysterical.
Yeah. Well, like Michael Thomas, bro, he low-key sounds like a freaking like a 12-year-old girl. I'm not gonna lie, because like his voice is just annoying.
He's a major sore loser, and I don't know. You're like a grown adult. You make millions of dollars in the NFL. I don't know how you can just be crying about things that didn't go your way that often on social media. Like it happens to so many NFL players, but he's the only one who just continues to whine about it. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of him. He's really annoying to me.
Yeah, I swear it is.
I think Devontae Parker said it best. Didn't he say something like, if I got 300 targets, I'd have over 120 catches as well?
Yeah.
Now I feel bad for Devontae Parker, because like Michael Thomas has gotten to play in like a stable situation, quarterback like since he walked in. I think if right now Devontae Parker was on like a different team, this whole argument would be like totally different. Granted, I still would say that Michael Thomas is the better player, but I would just like to see Devontae Parker on a different team with like a future Hall of Famer quarterback to see like what he could do.
Me too. That dude is nasty.
Yeah, Parker's super talented, but he's not going anywhere. He just signed that extension with the Dolphins, but at least now they have a pretty good core around them with Tua Tagovailoa and a few other pieces. So maybe he can finally start to thrive in that offense.
Fantasy alert.
I just wanted to add one last thing with the Rooney Rule there, because Coach Judge was sort of kind of singled out as being someone that maybe wasn't qualified enough to get that interview initially for the Giants, even though he was a special teams coordinator for a number of years, and a lot of I would say, I don't want to say uneducated fans, but people that take for granted don't realize that there's 3 phases of football. You know, it is offense, defense, and special teams. I mean, how many times have we seen a bad punt put a team in a bad situation field position-wise, or a missed field goal that cost you a championship or going to a championship? You know, so that's often always overlooked. And you got a guy who's coming from not only working with Nick Saban, but also working with Bill Belichick. I mean, he has a way of putting a system that he could sort of just copy and keep it in place. And one other thing that goes unnoticed is that the Giants went out and hired Patrick Graham. And that's our defensive coordinator. But yet that goes completely unmentioned as anything part of this whole Rooney Rule thing. So, you know, those are just some of the things that kind of like got me a little fired up regarding it.
Not only did they hire him as the defensive coordinator, he's even the assistant head coach, Patrick Graham. So, great point there, Jules.
Right? Yeah,
I thought Joe was black. I didn't even know he was white. I had to look him up. Doesn't Joe Judge sound black?
The point is, dude, it's like this, you know, I think like this, you know, as again, Jules says, like, you know, moving on from it's going to be something to watch over the next couple of years. But anyway, moving forward, right? So when you look at like what the Giants did this offseason, I know Jules listens to every episode, so he's like the biggest eyewitness of this. Did everything we say on this podcast happen, dude, between like free agency and the draft?
No, but listen, there was a lot of, you know, there was definitely that other podcast that had come on after mine where, you know, we started leaning towards more of the offensive tackle being selected in the first round, and that came to fruition. So, you know, it's definitely pretty much on point with a lot of things, that's for sure.
But like, so I was looking, you know, just the Giants offseason moves. If you think of the offensive positional groups, like they added to every single group this offseason, but they didn't really make like a major move at the wide receiver position. And I think like what this tells me is, okay, so you're confident in Darius Slayton being your number one guy, which like we should all approve of. And that's completely fine because he's earned that right. Golden Tate, just like, I don't even know. I mean, he's pretty much washed up at this point. Now, I would still say, like, if the opportunity arises, you got to add someone to this wide receiver group. Because if one of these guys gets hurt, like Evan Ingram, who you can't rely on to be, like, 100% healthy, Caden Smith, obviously, you know, those would be, like, your primary receivers, or you're, like, in the aerial attack. But still, you got to add wide receivers. Anthony, what do you think?
You know, I like Darius Slayton a lot, but I don't really think that he's a primary number one receiver. I think I've got a different definition of that in my head than a lot of fans. I think that Slayton will be, long term, will be a really, really solid, like great number 2 receiver, but we're still missing that number 1 receiver on the roster. He could take a leap this year and prove me wrong and be that guy, but from what I saw last year, I think that he's just a really good number 2. But I think that I don't necessarily think they're comfortable with their receiving core and think that they don't have a need there. I just don't think they really had the opportunities to get a number 1 receiver this offseason. Obviously, they're not going to spend the 4th overall pick on a wide receiver. They had plenty of other positions to address. And, you know, free agency, what were they going to do? Throw $100 million at Amari Cooper? No. So I think next year they're probably going to look for their number 1 receiver, and they have to. Obviously, you could debate whether or not they should have traded Odell, but, you know, they did, so that's in the past. So as far as I see it, they don't have their number 1 receiver, but I think when you look at next offseason, another loaded wide receiver class set to come out. Jamar Chase is going to be linked to the Giants consistently. Mark my words, that's going to be like the rumored pick up until the draft next year. We'll see if it happens or not, but I think next year you're going to look for the Giants to find that number 1 receiver, hopefully in the first round of the draft.
I agree.
You know what? Yeah, Mike. I was gonna say, you know, the way I look at it with the Giants and the receiving core, you're right. I agree 100%. I don't really think we have a true number 1 receiver by definition. However, if these guys could stay healthy, and again, that's the big if, right? We have a good collection of guys that do everything that would be needed to do it. If Ingram can play a full season with Shepard, and I was saying this last year, I said, you know, I would love to have seen Daniel Jones go out there and had all 3 of those receivers healthy with Evan Ingram at the same time with Barkley, and really see what he could do and how that offense can open up. And don't forget, with Garrett coming in this season, there's no telling what we can actually do. We might be able to build off of that running game where certain, where there'll be certain one-on-one type coverages where these guys might excel in certain situations. And I always find that, like, currently what this receiving core looks like is sort of like in the middle of the pack of the NFL. They're not in the top 10, but I don't find them in the bottom 10 either, and it might be good enough for this season. And you're right. Next year with the draft class that's coming out, yeah, they're gonna go right after a number one receiver, and that's all they're gonna need on that offense.
Right now, man, I think there's so if we had to get into 2021 draft talk, I would say that there's probably 6 guys that I think you could have preliminary first round grades on. Meaning so you have Jamar Chase from LSU. Who really I thought was on the map because of what LSU did this past season. Now, and they lost a lot of talent. LSU on offense between Burrow and then, Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that's going to be Chase's chance to prove that, okay, I can, carry this offense again. You have Justin Ross from Clemson, who 2 years ago when I saw Ross play, man, in his freshman season, I was like, this dude's Odell Beckham 2.0. That's who he reminds me of. But without obviously the friggin' weird hair and the stupid sideline antics. And then there's a couple others like Rondale Moore. There's a kid from USC. I can't name all of them off the top of my head. I'd have to dig my draft spreadsheet up. But it's gonna be a good class. Mike, what do you think?
To me, wide receivers, to me, they're a dime a dozen. I think if you're in the NFL and you're a wide receiver, you can't catch or you can't separate, there's no business you being on the field. Daniel, I think we might have mentioned this before. Wide receiver is kind of like a luxury pick in a draft. So if we're a good team this coming season, and then maybe if we're in a good position to draft it a number one wide receiver in the first round, that would be fantastic. That'd be gravy. But we got Daniel Jones. He's very accurate, so he can make these guys wide receivers step up their game.
Yeah, I would say, dude, I think what this team really needs, though, if I were to pick like an ideal wide receiver, because I think like Slayton's technically like Slayton would complement like a big jump ball guy perfectly. Because like to have the big jump ball guy, you know, like I'll use Allen Robinson as an example. So have a guy like Robinson or Devontae Adams.
Bears alert! The Bears.
No, I'm using it for like I'm being serious here. I think like if you had a guy like with the measurables of like Allen Robinson or
Chase
like
Claypool.
Claypool, right? Claypool, like Devontae Adams on this roster, then Slayton would like end up, you know, complimenting him perfectly. And I think like that is what you need right now. And obviously, like y'all mentioned Shepard. Okay, he's irrelevant to me at this point because like he used to be the number 2 guy. But, like, obviously the injuries have really derailed him. I think, like, his days, if he gets injured again, like, they're just going to cut him in 2021. Because, like, at what point do you draw the line between, like, all right, we believe this guy's an asset to, all right, this guy's just turned into a liability?
Who are they cutting?
No, I said Shepard, dude. Like, I'm not sure
if he's much. He's right.
If he gets hurt, dude, I'm not sure if he's, like, on this roster when the 2021 season opens.
I don't necessarily think he gets hurt as in like it's a durability thing. Like he's, you know, he had the one ankle problem that season where Odell, Brandon Marshall, everybody got hurt, but he's the only one that actually came back from that stuff. He's a tough guy. It's just the concussions. He's had like 5 since he entered the league. It's bad. I think what's more likely is I don't think they're going to look to cut him. I think what would happen is he'd end up with another concussion. He'd probably end up retiring after that one, and I don't blame him. Like he got his money. He's done enough in the league. Like if you're going to get another concussion, it's going to have a significant effect on the rest of your life. So if I were him, I would retire. I'm pretty sure he was considering it back when he had the one this season. He had 2 this season. So that's more likely to me is that he retires, not gets cut. But I think I personally disagree. I think he's a tough, durable guy. I just think he's had some bad luck with concussions. So I don't think it'll come to that. I don't think they'll end up having to cut him or look the other way.
If I'm a Giant and I'll play until I have 30 concussions. They're going to have to drag me off the field where I don't even know my ABCs anymore. That's how much I love the Giants.
That's Mike for you guys, okay?
Absolutely.
Big Blue all day.
But yeah, so going back to the state of the wide receiver position, you know, you added to running back with, what is it, Dion Lewis, right? They added.
Yep.
yeah, Deion Lewis. You overhauled the offensive line, and then quarterback, like you added Colt McCoy and Cooper Rush. I'm pretty sure they just added Cooper Rush so like he would bring over the Cowboys playbook. Shit, man. Eagles fans are in my mentions on Twitter right now.
Oh, let's put the podcast on hold and go after those bad.
We good, dude. I said something about the Eagles because that straight up was just like, well, your entire season's gonna be determined by like how obviously the quarterback plays, and if he stays healthy, which is the case for like a lot of teams anyway. But like these guys just come after you, dude. It's not good.
No, they're nasty. They're nasty people, all of them. The whole fan base, the whole town.
Philly's fan base has to be one of the worst fan bases in the entire country. I know we hear it a lot here in New York, but there is nothing like Philly. They're more annoying. They just, it's like they're nonstop, and they'll repeat themselves 400 times just to make a point.
Anthony, do you have Eagles fans down in Florida? Or are you surrounded by like all Dolphins fans?
Well, mostly Dolphins. A lot of, there's a surprising amount of Giants fans actually, probably because of the snowbirds and all that. A few Cowboys fans, really no Eagles fans, thank God. I've met maybe 2 total, and one of them he was okay, and then the other one was like a total dick, like you would expect.
Pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you, here in Illinois, you either have you have 99% Bears fans, and then everyone else, so I was at GameStop last week, and I saw an Eagles fan, which was annoying, because he was just stupid. I judge people based off the football teams they associate themselves with, and occasionally I'll get to see a Lions fan or whatever, but these bigger fan bases like the Giants, the Packers, even the friggin' Cowboys, as much as I have to say this, these guys, they're scattered all over the place,
They're all over the world, man. They're fucking, these Cowboys, America's team, such bullshit.
Self-proclaimed?
Anyway, we'll get into the Cowboys later, but obviously, it's no news to us and no news to you guys listening. Thanks for tuning in. By the way, guys, follow us on Twitter at GiantsBro. We're on Facebook and Instagram by the same name. So it's no news to anyone what happened with DeAndre Baker. Now, personally, I saw some stupid takes by Giants fans saying we'll blame Dave Gettleman for the pick. I'm not gonna blame him for the pick, because you can't really anticipate a guy's going to get arrested. I will say this though, you should have done your homework on him, because there was always reports of him being lazy and whatnot, and just not wanting to work and falling asleep in team meetings. So that was the stupid part by Dave, not doing all his research. But really, when you look at it, he brought this on himself. Anthony, what do you think's going to happen with this clown?
Well, I'm happy you brought up the red flags pre-draft, because actually our former co-host Christian Morel, I remember when the draft happened, I think on this podcast or on the other one that we used to do, we talked about that, and he was like, I don't really like the pick because of the red flags. I don't really trust this guy to be around long term or whatever, and now it's showing up, and I really hope that the reports that he has evidence to exonerate him, I hope it's true. I hope he didn't commit such an action. And if he did, and the Giants figure out that he did, get rid of him, obviously. But, if he's innocent, like they're saying he is, and it looks like he's going to get away or he's going to be found innocent, if he is, then I really hope this is a teaching lesson to him. I hope he learns a lot from this about who to surround himself with, how to behave. And obviously, it should just be a wake-up call that you're a first-round NFL draft pick, and you need to start acting like it, and no more falling asleep in meetings. Hopefully, he gets it together, and he starts, performing at a high level like we expected him to when we drafted him. And, I know he posted today on Instagram, he was doing some workouts or whatever, and he posted them. So I guess that's a step in the right direction, though it's pretty convenient for now we see him working out after the entire offseason. He hasn't posted anything the entire offseason, but now he's working out. So I don't know, man. I just hope that it's a wake-up call. I know his lawyer said hopefully it's a Ray Rice situation. I know that's what his lawyer's supposed to say, but I agree. I hope it is. I hope that it's a really bad accident that he's found innocent of, and then he turns it all around and becomes an elite player. That's definitely ideal to me.
See, what do you think, Jules? Because then I'll chime in with like the actual football side of things.
I mean, obviously, when you saw things immediately released on social media, you thought the worst. But as things progressed and the weekend went on and people were getting exonerated immediately and there was witnesses saying that this might have been made up, there's one thing that we currently forget with social media just being so easy as just like sending a message and all of a sudden a million people could see it, is that in this country, we're innocent until proven guilty, right? So we can't just jump to conclusions and say that he did this, right? Because he could still be possibly innocent. He may have just known something, been somewhere, where he shouldn't have been, hanging out with the wrong people. Who knows? A million and one different reasons, but at the end of the day, he might not have done anything. And yet, that'll make the back page news. It won't be headlines. It doesn't sell newspapers, as they used to say, right? And that's what kind of bothers me, because if you notice, there was already almost some bad press starting where they were saying, well, we can't believe the Giants haven't released him. Well, he was charged. There is no proof. They're now saying that this might even get thrown out, might not even make it to court. Right. So you're not going to ruin a man's career off of speculations or someone starting up some kind of rumor. So that's why I think, a lot of times people jump to conclusions before they actually let the actual evidence play itself out.
I did. I jumped to conclusions, man. I thought, listen, innocent or guilty, I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. I mean, his lawyer is saying, like, the victims have criminal history now. Either way, it's a terrible look because you're guilty by association regardless. I mean, what are you doing bringing a semi-automatic weapon to these places? I mean, my personal opinion, I think he did threaten these people at the party. I think, how it goes, like in the hood, like let's not fucking sugarcoat it. You know where he grew up, how he acts. Snitches get stitches, all jokes aside. But when that word gets around to these people in these places, you do not talk to the cops. You do not get lawyers involved. You don't go that route because that's how they grow up. That's how this culture is in these communities. And it's not before Black Twitter comes after me. It's not a black or white thing because there's plenty of white people that act the same way with their pants hanging down off their ass, taking guns, the hat to the side. They're talking like you can't understand them. I mean, I remember, I live in an okay neighborhood, but it's not that great. There's a fun deli where these kids, and they're white before Black Twitter comes after me. There's white kids, hanging out with, acting all, hardcore. They, listen to the hardcore music. I brought this girl from Scarsdale. Scarsdale, for people that don't know, it's a really nice area. And when she seen that, I was like, honey, close your eyes. Don't look them in the face. I don't want, to get shit thrown at the car. But it's like that. I mean, for me, all jokes aside, the culture got to change. You can't be glorifying this culture and acting like this because you're never going to go anywhere in life. You know what I mean? You're a starting quarterback for the NFL. Act like it. You're getting paid $10 million. You don't need to threaten other people for a couple watches or money like that. It's bullshit. It's really bullshit. I'm frustrated because this guy is talented. If he plays man coverage, he's talented. I seen him on Georgia. He was good. He's a legit player, man. It's a shame to throw his life away and his career away.
I'll kind of build off what Mike said, and I'm not gonna so when I look at the football side, obviously look, the legal side of things and all that, we're still getting information, so we don't know what's gonna go down. We're at we're 50% of the way towards knowing what truly happened, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at the football side of things, I can tell you one thing right now, man. And I had an NFL GM, a former NFL GM, tell me this. He's like, look, nothing in the NFL ever goes to plan. And you don't want to be dealing with unexpected things that would just pop across your desk on any random day that, this player's in legal trouble. Because now you got to figure all this out. And if running an NFL team isn't crazy enough, when you look at Joe Judge, dude, I can tell you right now, he was friggin' pissed off, and he probably told all the players and whatnot that, look, while you're home, don't get into trouble, because just show up for the virtual meetings and do what you would normally do. Just don't get in trouble, because we already don't know what's going to go down. We already got tons of headaches with not knowing when training camp's going to be. Are we going to have to move to a different state? We can't really evaluate you guys until you get out onto the field. That's why Joe Judge is frustrated. I don't know what Gettleman's thinking.
They told Baker to stay away. They told Baker to stay away from the meetings now.
Right. For the time being, they said, they said go get the illegal issues taken care of first, and then, come back and start working out with the team and everything, because they want to make sure. Like, to me, it's going to be one of three things. Either this is another Ray Lewis, like before the Super Bowl, and it's absolutely nothing, and it was just that he was in an area, or it's a Ray Rice where this guy just made this stupid mistake because he was going along with his friends. A little different than Ray Rice, but, in other words, it was something that was out of character and he was just going along. Or it's an Aaron Hernandez, and this guy should be thrown in the book, and that's it. Put him in jail, and he's just an idiot, right? It's one of three things at the end of the day, and only at this point time is going to tell, and I hope the Giants are patient enough to wait till everything is presented and all the facts are made, because he is a tremendous talent on the field, and if it does turn out to be nothing, then hopefully this all blows over and it's not. But if it's anything worse than that, then the law will take care of things accordingly.
Yeah, and when you look about you talk about the football side of things, right? So, you signed Bradbury this offseason to, a 3-year, $45 million deal. But I know the Giants can get out of that after, 2 years, because they'd save $14 million if they decide to cut Bradbury in 2022. My biggest issue with this whole thing right now, looking at the football side of things, is the fact that after year 3, so that would have been 2021 for Baker, you would have made a decision on the 5th-year option, and you could have cut James Bradbury around the time that you would have been getting ready to pick the option up and sign this guy to a deal that would have been now you're our cornerback one for whatever the next 5 years. Now what's going to happen is if he does get in trouble, and let's say the Giants do cut him, then you know what? You are really looking at the possibility of having to hold on to Bradbury and losing the $14 million that you could have cut by saving him, and figuring out when am I going to draft my next cornerback one, because I don't think Bradbury is going to be on this roster come 2023. If I'm being honest, that's just me taking the long-term view of things. So
Dude, that's a great point. That's a great point, man.
And people aren't thinking of that right now. These NFL teams, they're living in the moment, but they're also looking towards the future. So and I would suck, dude, if we have a need at wide receiver next year, unless Slayton absolutely blows up, and then all of a sudden we're got a part of the Giants fan base that's yeah, but we got to draft Sean Wade or one of these defensive backs that's coming out because we need a legit cornerback too. I will say this though, I think right now cornerback 2 is wide open. I would not be surprised if Darnay Holmes grabs that, even though we've advocated for him playing in the slot.
We have, but I do think there's a chance he could play on the outside. There are undersized cornerbacks that have been successful out there, and he did play it in college. We mentioned that. So we all pegged him in as the nickel corner guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a shot at playing on the outside, especially after all of this, because, DeAndre Baker has a lot to prove now, and he can't just be handed that role. It's got to be earned. So it's going to be between him, and I think Holmes has a pretty good shot at it. And even Julian Love, maybe he could try and take that spot too, move him down from safety and put him at outside corner. It's wide open.
Yeah, it's up for grabs.
Yeah, but obviously short term right now it's up for grabs. I think long term it is up for grabs as well. Obviously if Baker's not back, but obviously things never go according to plan in the NFL. You got to prepare and list every single scenario. And what I just said right there about Baker and Bradbury in 2022, keep in mind, the longer this drags on, the longer that we're going to have to think about that and potentially discuss it, because this dude, it could either be nothing, or this dude could have potentially just ruined his NFL career. I know some people will be oh, well, he was 20 something years old. He's a kid. It doesn't matter. That's BS, dude, because yeah, you're a grown adult at a certain point. You got to learn to act like it, man. And Kirby Smart, when I look at the defensive talent that's come out of Georgia the last couple of years, there's some really mature guys that have come out. But Baker was, I guess, one that might have slipped through the cracks in Kirby Smart's program. So it's going to be interesting to see. But still, man, situations got to play out. But really, both the football side of things and the legal side of things kind of screwed up right now, and we're just gonna have to see what happens.
Yeah, I was rooting for the guy. I wanted him to come in and step up and make up for his past mistakes of sleeping through meetings and everything. And then this shit happens. It's to be honest, it's just sad. It's just sad, man.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. Obviously, I know all of us, we hope his thing gets better, or he's come out innocent, because you never want to see a player go down, or a player's career end because of the unfortunate decision, or just I don't know, maybe it was just something where he was oh, wrong place, wrong time. I'm not sure. I don't want to like speculate any further than all the other people, man. But whatever.
Yeah, I'll eat crow, man, if I'm wrong on this, but I don't see him coming back in the Giant uniform.
I'm gonna stay optimistic. I think he might. Let's just see. Let's give it a few more days. Let's just see what actually comes out. What kind of, truth to the matter that they find. To see these people that they're not only saying that they were uncredible witnesses, but their stories changed. Now people are starting to back out of their testimonies. So there's some loopholes that are starting to be created, and it's a wait and see at this point.
Yeah, but you wouldn't see Daniel Jones or Barkley or Eli Manning in that kind of situation. You know what I mean? It's like if we're building a good culture for us, like you gotta get these guys out of here. I don't know, first round draft pick, second round, I don't care. Just get them out.
Well, maybe it'll be a learning moment for him, and he'll turn it around, and he'll become a really, really great player who learns how to stay out of bad situations like that. He is young. He is an adult, but he's a young adult, very young, and maybe it's just going to be a learning experience for him, and he'll get it turned around.
That's a good point. I mean, take a Hall of Fame legend like Chris Carter. When he was on the Eagles, they thought he was going to be out of the league, right? And he turned his life around, and now he became a Hall of Famer, and everything went on from there. So you never know what the type of person this is.
But I'll respond to that, Jules, because I believe with Chris Carter, the situation was they thought he wasn't going to be able to turn around, and they cut him, and that's what had him turn around. So it's possible that could be the situation with DeAndre Baker. Maybe that's what he needs as his reality check. Maybe he does need to leave the Giants and get out of this uniform. But hopefully they can make it more like the Ray Lewis situation where they keep him after he's found innocent, if he is, and they can just rally behind him and he can turn it around and then become a great player that way. That's what I'm hoping for.
But Ant, that screws us. It's the same thing with teams like Kareem Hunt. He hit that girl. He gets cut by Kansas City. Then he goes signs with Cleveland, right? It's always the same thing with the teams get affected. You know what I mean? It's like we get affected, not exactly the player. The player's he's gonna sign with another team, and he's gonna be so fantastic. We're the team that gets screwed on that.
Well, not if he gets 15 years for the armed robbery possessions and everything else like that. He'll be a little too old to be coming back out of jail after serving 10 years, 15 years. You gotta keep that one in mind.
Well, listen.
Sign with the Eagles.
Kareem Hunt is different, all right? Kareem Hunt, there's a video that we have all seen of him kicking a woman. There's a video, according to DeAndre Baker's lawyer, that proves he is innocent. So it's a different situation. We have not seen that video. We don't know if it's true, but apparently, according to the lawyer, he's innocent. We'll see. But if he's found innocent, and I know the press has been really bad for the Giants, and it's made us look pretty bad because of what he's done. But that's why I'm saying hopefully he learns from this. He doesn't put himself in situations like this anymore, and he figures out how to be a better team player and figures out how to turn it around, just become a great football player, and no more distractions, no more sleeping in meetings, no more off-the-field distractions. So sure, it could be bad for us, but it could be good. It's really just a wait-and-see thing right now, and I wouldn't compare it to one of those situations like Kareem Hunt or Tyreek Hill. Even Tyreek Hill, we know he was guilty of something. He's still on that team, and it hasn't really been so bad for the Chiefs. So, I mean, hopefully DeAndre Baker didn't do these things, and, that's obviously the hope. But what's that, Mike?
He needs to find better friends, man. He needs to hang out with better people. Hang out with Barkley, hang out with Daniel Jones, hang out with those guys. Get right, man. Get better. He's so goddamn talented, man. It's infuriating.
Right, but hopefully this is the wake up call, and this turns it around for him, and then he can get his life straight.
You're right, Anthony. But seriously, my question is you're supposed to social distance during this time. I mean, what was this guy doing at a freaking cookout in Florida? Is what I want to know in the first place.
It's not like that down here in Florida. It's not. I mean, first of all, when we were supposed to social distance, most people really didn't. Second of all, we're in phase 1, so we're allowed to get together now. It's got to be in contained environments, no more than 10 people, and I don't even know if you're required to wear masks when you're in those environments anymore. Like when you go to the store, you have to 6 feet apart, masks on. But now I went to the gym for the first time today, and however long, because it's finally open now. There's only 2 people allowed in my community's gym at a time, and you're only allowed in there for an hour maximum. But it's open now. Things are reopening. So DeAndre Baker, he was allowed to be doing whatever he was doing, minus the things that went wrong. So
your gym allows like 2 people at a time. Listen,
it's very small, very small.
Listen, if my gym opens up and it's just me and like 1 chick at a time, I have a shot, guys. I have a shot.
Good. Hey, I was in there today and it was some other brawny man, so I didn't really pay any attention. But you know, I'll keep that in mind, Mike. Maybe I'll have to take a page out of the Mike Trainer playbook.
Goddamn.
For me, right? Because like everything is still like shut down here and whatnot. So like I pretty much just go to work and come back. Now my coworkers, I was telling them, like, oh, like they obviously know I record the podcast, I write articles, etc. I do all this stuff. Now I've got like 2,000 followers on Twitter. So like I don't know in what way that I'm famous, right? But they consider me like famous, and they're like, oh, you're always talking about yourself. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. No, I'm not. You guys just think of that. Like, you guys will ask me, oh, do you want to do whatever? Like, jump on a Zoom meeting. And I'll be like, shit, I got to record a show. So they think that I'm apparently famous. And I'm like, no, I'm not, guys. So that's what I'm going with nowadays. But I haven't told them that, like, what are the Giants, like $1 billion corporation, dude, is what they are. I haven't told them that everything we say on here, they actually end up listening to. So, or the $1 billion corporation does. So I don't know, guys. This is what I'm dealing with. What are you dealing with, Jules?
Well, dealing with, I don't know, but yeah, I'm dealing with going a little stir crazy because New York City has still been on lockdown. I mean, I haven't gotten on a subway in like 3 months, which is almost incredible to say living out in Brooklyn. But you know, it's been tough, man. But now with the weather getting a little nicer, there are certain parks that are open, right? So I've been trying my best to take advantage of that. You know, social distancing, carrying a mask on me. You know, I don't wear it necessarily all the time, but you know, I definitely have one with me at all times. The hand sanitizer. So like, you know, just getting over that, man. Because I'll tell you, like every day I feel like I wake up and it's like that movie Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, man. Like I get it. I want everybody to be safe, but at the same time, man, it's getting to be unbearing at times.
I loved it for the first like month. I was like, yo, this is the best life. I'm living my best life. I'm doing nothing and I'm loving it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, I got to start doing something. This is too much, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, so yeah, we hope y'all are doing good in quarantine too. It's time though to talk about what went down on Twitter over the weekend. So like, obviously, if you're following us, guys, at Giants Brawl. Now, I decided randomly. So we added I helped the network add Redskins Brawl this week with former Redskins tight end Garrett Hudson, who like told me that Quentin Dunbar and these guys used to like all gamble, and Trent Williams and used to play cards. So Quentin Dunbar was at thing with DeAndre Baker, which is why he's being brought up. But anyway, so I was going after Redskins Brawl, and somehow Cowboys Brawl got involved. Now I was at work like Wednesday, Thursday week last night? Yeah, night last week or whatever, you know. And like a fight breaks out in the mentions between Jules. Mike gets involved. Anthony's missing in action. Mike Rez is involved. So you got like an all-out brawl going on between like all the Brawl accounts, you know. Obviously, Redskins Brawl, they backed off, dude. But Jules, you were going in on those Cowboys fans, man.
Well, listen, I got to give it up to Redskins Brawl. They actually jumped on board with us for a minute, so that's why I gave them a little bit of props. They were like, you know what the hell with these Cowboy fans? I can't stand it. Bro, they want to sit there and go on about how, all you guys can talk about is that we didn't win a Super Bowl. Yeah, you haven't won a Super Bowl in 25 fucking years. Wake the fuck up, man. That's a long time, all right? There's people that ain't even alive that are Cowboy fans that can watch a game, go to a game and drink in it, and still never saw a Super Bowl. All right? Like, it's just a fact. Like, deal with it. And you won 3 Super Bowls, you should be thanking Herschel Walker because he's the reason why you guys won that, all right? If that trade doesn't go down in that draft and they don't get like 17,000 picks just because they get rid of Herschel Walker, who knows if they're getting anybody? Because we know big names came in that draft off of that trade. So, like, I could go on for days about them. They won 2 Super Bowls in the 70s. They won 3 in the 90s. That's it. 25 years ago, there was beepers and Bill Clinton as president, okay? Like, there's a lot of things going on there that need to be mentioned and kept in mind. You know, I did read an interesting fact over the weekend because all this was coming out and they were just getting me riled up, and I couldn't believe they kept coming back at me. But it was great. I was having so much fun with it, and I'll be fucking doing it all season. I even typed it in. I was like, to be continued. I can't wait to continue doing this. They were like 3 days and you still don't let up. I'm like, you're damn right. But, like, you know, here's an interesting fact. The Giants are the only team in the NFL to win a Super Bowl in 4 consecutive decades.
Yeah, what is that like?
Right?
80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
Right?
Obviously, as we begin a new decade, we'll have to wait and see if they like actually win another one. You know, that I think that really if the Giants win a Super Bowl in the 2020s, it's going to be because of like this current core that they have of like Barkley and Daniel Jones. Like, this is going to be the one that's potentially, you know, could win like another one. But obviously, like, so Mike got involved, dude, and then G. Stelio got involved. And like, obviously, I hate the Cowboys, dude, because they're annoying, right? Just the fans in general, dude, are annoying. I mean, I was at an Epic Burger in Chicago when they were playing here on Thursday night, and I kid you not, I'm just trying to get my food, and I think I've told this story once before, but they took forever to order, and I straight up was just like, yo, if you are going to take forever to order, can I just, like, cut in front of you guys? Can I please do that? Because, like, I want to get my food and just go.
You should have punched him in the face after you got your food.
Man, I don't know. I was too tired, right? Because I had like just gotten out of class and everything, dude. But yeah, so, and you know what pisses me off, dude? So like so CeeDee Lamb slipped to 17th overall. And obviously,
because the Raiders are morons.
Yeah.
Get Lamb. Asshole.
For real. You need a wide receiver, and you pass on CeeDee Lamb, you get Ruggs, who's like a slot guy, maybe at best, and a deep threat when you have no other outside receiver. Real smart, Raiders, just like Darius Haywood-Bay all over again. And CeeDee Lamb falls in the lap of the goddamn Cowboys. Of course it does. Drives me fucking nuts.
I'll be real, though. Like, so my comparison for CD was DeAndre Hopkins. But, like, I can just watch some of these players on tape after, like, 1 or 2 games and be like, all right, so this dude's obviously going to get comparisons to, like, this guy. But there's no way in hell you're convincing me that, like, this guy was as electric as, like, Hopkins was coming out of Clemson or, like, Odell was coming out of LSU. Like, Jerry Jeudy, dude, Jerry Jeudy gets the, like, Odell Beckham comp so much. But I just don't personally think, like, he's going to be as electric as Odell. I know someone's going to bookmark this, but whatever, you know. I don't care because, like, in a couple years, can obviously revisit it, and then I'll admit when I'm wrong, you know?
I'm bookmarking that, dude. Jerry Jeudy's like my favorite player, man. Not really, but he's up there. I love that guy. He's Odell 2.0. I think he'll be better than Odell. He's a beast.
Wow, better than Odell.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's some lofty praise.
Odell on the Giants for a little while was like untouchable. He was way too good, but overall, his career, because the second half of Odell's career so far has not been that great. I think Jerry Jeudy will have longer sustained success, especially with the Broncos. I think he'll have longer sustained success than Odell had, because obviously Odell's reign at the top is already falling.
Odell was on fire because, you know, he was great. You know, he had a great quarterback in Eli Manning, first of all. But then, like, the injury bug, like, really got him, man. I
don't think that's going to happen with Jeudy.
Yeah, if Jeudy stays healthy, like, I mean, we'll see. But, I mean, Odell Beckham, a talent like that, shit, man, that don't come around that often, man. If Judy's a guy, it'd be very interesting to see, man.
Yeah, but it's funny, though, because Jarvis Landry actually had a better statistical year than Odell last year. I mean, you have to keep these things in mind. Like, you know, he's great, but he's talent-wise amazing. But is he really that guy? I don't know. You know, and that's something you got to start asking yourself about Odell.
Well, yeah, you know, but
Jeudy
just
is that guy.
Bro, but just like, you know, okay, so going back to, like, the Cowboys, right? I know Jules is going to go after him, like, during the season, and I'm pretty sure Mike's going to get involved, too, and I'm going to wake up and there's going to be, like, 400 notifications on my phone.
Yeah, pretty much. The other night I had, like, fucking 100. I'm like, all right, Cowboys. Now I got to go after you. I'm trying to play Madden. I was playing the Cowboys in Madden. I was killing them, obviously. And then I had to go after them on Twitter, man. It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, but I think like 50 of those 100 mentions was the one fact that they didn't understand the actual comparison I made, when I said Peyton Manning's rookie season to Daniel Jones, right? If you actually look at their numbers, right, it's incredible. They both had 3 wins for the season. They both threw for over 3,000 yards. They both had, actually, Daniel Jones had 26 passing touchdowns to Peyton's 24. And Peyton turned the ball over 28 times. I'm going to say that again, 28. Daniel Jones threw 12 interceptions and, granted, 11 fumbles. I can't see 11 fumbles again. Look, if he fumbles 11 times, we will win 2 games like some of these USA Today people are saying, and we will end up getting Trevor, all right? And that's it. Trevor Lawrence will be a quarterback, and it's the end of it, and we'll start from there. But outside of that, all I did was compare those 2 numbers, and he's like, he's comparing him to Peyton Manning. Oh, my God. I'm like, dude, it's rookie season. The guy had 28 turnovers. He was the number 1 pick coming out of college, you know, and you know, so it was just a comparison there that was something that I remembered when Peyton did come out of college, that was brought up and saying, like, look at this turnovers, man. If this guy doesn't improve on it, what is he going to be? And this was a guy that was coming out as the number 1 pick overall, right? And that's all I tried to draw. These dudes turned into Philly fans. They just kept repeating themselves. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm talking to a Philadelphia Eagle fan here.
Not compare Daniel Jones to Peyton Manning, because Daniel Jones is going to be way better than Peyton Manning.
Oh, my, bro. But listen.
I'll leave that one to you, Mike. I'm not saying that.
The turnovers.
Can't wait to know.
The turnovers in general for like any rookie quarterback are an issue. And I know Jules brought up like if he fumbles 11 times, we're going to win 2 games. Bottom line is this: Danny Jones needs to improve on the turnovers this year, because we've talked about the importance of field position, and you can't be fumbling in your own territory. Like, it's that simple, because the last thing I want, or any of us want, is this defense having to already be gassed, because they already play a tough schedule, already be gassed, and then have to like go back out there for like the additional series and whatnot. And that's the big thing. I think like when we talked about like, so why was the Giants like defense on the field a lot last year? Part of the reason was because like Danny Dimes was a turnover machine, and it's just one of the big things that he's gonna have to cut back on as we continue like his progression. And he doesn't need to be like I'm gonna temper my expectations for Danny Jones. He doesn't need to be like a Pat Mahomes right away, and he doesn't ever have to like be that if they continue to build a solid roster around him. Going into year 2, man, just show enough improvement to the point where you're like, okay, I can be like the point guard for this offensive system, and I know like how to run it. I have it down, and then really take the true leap going into year 3.
Fair enough. And I love how the Cowboys think that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. They were 8-8 last year. They weren't even that good. So you're in a division where 8-8 almost won the division, and yet you're making fun of us for only winning for as many games as we did. Boy, I can't wait. I hope Daniel Jones does take that next step. So we go into Dallas, we shit all over them. It'd be great.
Dude, I'm telling you, he's going to light up the league. Everybody's going to be like, holy shit, this guy's better than Mahomes, better than Peyton Manning ever was, better than... Nasty. I can't wait. Because that would make like everything so much better for me watching the NFL. To see Daniel Jones just light up the league, throw for like 60-something touchdowns, and then 0 interceptions, and then amazing to watch. I would just rub it in. I would be on Twitter. I would quit my day job. I just I quit. I have to go on Twitter. I have to go after every NFL team. I have to say Daniel Jones is the best. I'm telling you, man. Watch. He might be the number 1 fantasy quarterback in the league next year. Book that. Book it. Book it.
See, this is Mike's Madden stats at work right now, because I'm pretty sure he's thrown 60 touchdowns and 0 interceptions with Danny Jones on Madden.
Honestly,
on rookie level.
On rookie mode, yeah.
Listen, one thing is kind of crazy though. I happened to be at that Tampa game last season, and it was incredible because I got into talking with people before the game, and I said, you know what, watch, is Shepard playing? And they were like, yeah, he's healthy, he's playing. I'm like, you know what, watch, I guarantee you the Giants win. I never say that stuff. I'm not like Mike, who thinks that we're going to go 16-0 this coming season. I'm a little more realistic when it comes to these type of things. But I had a weird gut feeling that he was going to have a good game against Tampa, and he came out and lit it up. Man, I was kind of ready to be like, all right, I guess Eli should have been retired. This guy's going to be really good. And then, reality set in and we had the regular season.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was very tough. But I want to know, what section, Jules, were you in Tampa? And Ant, what section were you in? Maybe your paths crossed, man. Who knows?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I forgot where I had the ticket, but I ended up hanging out by the boat because that was like the most
Me
fun.
too.
Oh, dude, we were definitely there.
Yeah, we definitely walked past.
You didn't see some crazy guy jumping up and down?
That was me, actually.
I was surrounded by Tampa fans.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Jules had like 5 beers in his hand. You couldn't miss him,
Yeah,
man.
I had 2 beers in my hand, and I was talking shit to like 5-6 different people at the same time.
Wow. I was in section, I want to say it was like 144. It was the one to the left end zone, right underneath the boat. Is that where you were?
No, I was hanging out like on like above it, where you can hang out right next to the boat, which is like kind of like a landing area. The only thing I can compare it to is, I don't know who you have or haven't. It's like being in the bleachers at Yankee Stadium. That was literally the fairest comparison I could do with it. Except the fans, they talk, but it's not like being in the Bronx. But it was still a lot of fun. And trust me, when they were lining up for that field goal, there was like 8 or 10 people that were just giving me the dirtiest look. And when they missed, trust me, I let them know.
Oh yeah, no, I'll never forget when they were lining up for that kick. There was this one guy who was talking the whole game, and he was super annoying. This Bucks fan, because there was actually a decent amount of Giants fans in my area. It was kind of mixed, but there was this one guy like a row behind me, and he was just chanting, "Fuck those Giants, fuck those," and he just kept going on, and we were all getting so pissed at him. Because it was after Janoris Jenkins let up that play, so I'm sitting there with my head down. I feel like I'm gonna cry because it was just the highs and then the ultimate low, and I'm all pissed. And then they missed the kick, and it exploded in there. We all just went crazy. I jumped up, I'm screaming, I'm hugging everybody around me, strangers. We're all high-fiving and hugging, and I turn around to see that guy's reaction. He's gone. I see him running up the stairs. I was like, yeah, you run, mother. Yeah, it was so awesome.
I would love to have a boat in our stadium. I would love to have anything in MetLife Stadium, man. Why does our stadium suck?
It's just like a round oval stadium.
That boat is so fucking loud. It kills your eardrums. I hate it. Oh my God. I hate that fucking thing.
The first time I heard that thing, I almost fell on the floor.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, what the? I'll look it down.
Bro, if you think what do you call it? You think MetLife is bad? Y'all have not seen the outside of Soldier Field, because it was like a Roman. I don't even know what it was, dude. And they decided to throw like a spaceship in the middle of it, which is why like I hate going there every single time, because like it's one of the smallest in the NFL, and you think like for a big market team, like they would have upgraded the stadium like every like couple of years or something, make it like more modern, man. But
I didn't think it was that bad.
What up?
I didn't think it was that bad, Soldier.
It's decent, dude, but it's like nothing special. I mean,
you're right. With all the money, like, why aren't these stadiums like better and like, you know what I mean, enhanced a lot more, man? It's crazy. Like we built MetLife. We have another team that helped build MetLife. I don't want to name them, but we have their money, and then our stadium is just like, it looks like shit outside. It just looks like shit. We could have done so much better, man. Look at Vegas. Look at what Vegas is doing with their stadium. That looks.
Bro, look at what the Rams are doing with their stadium, dude. Whatever, 10, 11 years ago when Jerry World opened, that was like the new norm for stadiums. Like even right now, dude, Jerry World's just so irrelevant compared to like what the Raiders are doing, and then obviously what the like Rams are doing.
Except with their penis on the fucking jerseys. They can do without that. You know what I mean?
It was fake, Mike.
No, they probably have like a big penis hanging down from like the dome. You know what I mean?
Eric Dickerson brought that up, didn't he? He was like, I don't want to play for the Rams with that.
The Jumbotron is just 2 big circular screens and then 1 big rectangle screen that comes down, and then 1 more rectangle underneath that.
Holy shit.
I don't even know, man, honestly. But like, what the hell even led to this conversation? We were just shitting on the Cowboys for so long, right?
That was fun.
We can keep doing that. No, I'm kidding.
Bro, well, see, when Mike first joined the pod, we had a segment called Trash Talk, where towards the end of the episode, we would just trash talk like the rest of the NFC East, and do so most of all to the Cowboys fans, because obviously like they're the Giants' most hated rivals. I'll give y'all my honest thoughts, dude. So like I had one Cowboys, and I'm good friends with this Cowboys fan, but he tries to convince me every single time that, like, oh, they're going to have, like, they have an elite defense, and I don't see, like, Sean Lee is broken and old. It's not an elite defense. There's not really anyone on the secondary. Pretty much that defense, dude, is, like, Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, and DeMarcus Lawrence, and everyone else is what it is. And I think the big thing that no one's talking about going into 2020 is they lost Robert Quinn, who had like 11 and a half sacks last year, which is like a good total of your sack like production just gone out the door.
Well, they also lost Jason Garrett. So, and now he's on the Giants, and he's going to turn this into a top 10 offense. So they can cry about
Garrett
that.
Was always like,
hey,
he was always.
Don't say anything bad about my boy Jason Garrett. Don't do it.
What I'm saying is, if you'll let me complete my sentence, is Garrett was always better. Like, he was a shit head coach, dude. The dude could not head coach for his life. But I think he was going to be much better as an offensive coordinator.
See, I have a different take. I think he was an excellent head coach working for the Giants because he is a former New York Giant. He was always just had the Giants in his heart. He was like, I cannot win anything with these Cowboys. Fuck the Cowboys. Let's go Giants. And then he finally, his plan came to fruition. He joined the Giants as our offensive coordinator, and now he's going to turn us into the top offense in the league. So I love Jason Garrett. I always have.
He had Dak Prescott. He's like, this guy's a bum. They're going to pay him 100 a year? I'm like, I'm out of here. Get me out of here.
See, I will say this stuff for all the times I've criticized Jason Garrett, I will acknowledge, like, I would not be want to working for Jerry Jones and the Jones family, especially if I was the head coach, because, like, everyone just knows, like, the head coach in Dallas is basically, like, the puppet. Yeah. I mean, Jerry Jones runs the team pretty much, because this dude's at, like, every single game, home or away, and obviously, like, he's the one calling the shots, you know? No one, like, you're basically the head coach position does not exist in Dallas, because, like, Jerry Jones is the one doing everything. And he's not very good at his job, by the way.
He's terrible. They get overridden by him all the time. So what difference does it make?
Well, listen, the Cowboys have 3 playoff wins since 2007. 3. Okay, the Giants had 3 playoff wins in 2007. That's all I got to say to those Cowboy fans. 3 since 2007. You want me not to talk about the Super Bowls? Fine, I'll talk about that.
Remember when Romo threw the interception to RW corners?
I do. I can even tell you where I was. I was actually in Florida, and I had a Cowboys fan that was hiding at the bar. He ran out of there so quick.
RW's like, I'm not a Cowboys wide receiver.
Perfect pass.
You know what was on last night? I think so I was sitting Monday. I think this was yesterday. Yeah, last night. So I was sitting and watching like the recorded version of like episode 10 of The Last Dance with my bowl of ice cream, and I was like flipping through the channels, and obviously NFL Network was on. So like it was the 2007 NFC or 2008 NFC Championship game. One of those two where the Giants were in Lambeau, like that was on. And wasn't that also the same year that they like beat the Cowboys in the divisional round? Yeah. Yep. And I think it was Amani Toomer who had like the first score of the game right before halftime or something.
Yep. That's exactly right. The week before, like they played them.
And then we went to Green Bay where it was like 15 below.
And they were legit.
Oh my! I remember, dude. The weather so I was like 10 or 11 at the time, and the weather in Chicago was freaking freezing, to the point where I wanted to like go out and get this like. There was this cool toy back in the day, like I forgot the name of it and everything, but basically you would like
hit me, Elmo. You wanted to
shut up. Oh. There was a thing, dude. I forgot, like, it was like big kicks or something is what it was. But, like, you would bop the guy's head like a plastic kicker. You would bop his head and you would, like, kick the foam football through a field goal. I wanted to go get that, but I couldn't go because, like, the weather was freezing. My mom's like, no, you're going to wait. And my dad was in, like, New Jersey that same, like, weekend the NFC Championship game happened. And I swear, dude, the weather then was so cold that I could have, like, 3 blankets on and it was still freezing. Like, it's, like 50 degrees in Chicago right now, and it's like been raining for 3 straight days, and I'm like, what the hell, dude?
That brings up a good point. I want to know how each of you guys like got into like football, and you like loving your team that you love right now.
All right, let's start with you, Mike.
Me? Shit, dude. Like my whole family, like diehard Giant fans. Like, so I grew up like with them, like, you know, drinking beers, watching the Giants.
He was like. Mike was like 14 chugging.
Dude, I was like 5, and the Giants won like the '86, you know, when Phil Simms was like perfect. He was like 22 and 25. I was like, yo, this guy's amazing. I love Phil Simms. I love the Giants. I was going crazy. I was like a little kid. I was like, the Giants are the best thing to happen to my life in the past 4.5 years since I was born. Like, I love the Giants like so much, man. And then it just like it grew. Like then my friends were like, a lot of my friends are like diehard Giant fans, and then like I grew up like just like loving them, man. I didn't love anybody else, man. Which was all Giants all day. Even when they sucked, they had like Kent Graham, Dave Brown. They were terrible for a minute. I still loved them. I still watched them. Like that's your team. That's your team. So it's family for me.
So for me, like my dad, so like I have a special place in my heart for the Giants, just because like my dad grew up, in the New York, New Jersey area. I lived there for the first 8 years of my life. So like didn't really get into football till I was 10, which was at the same time, like I was living in Chicago and there was a Bears-Packers game on. So like, that's how I became a Bears fan. But I'll say like the Giants, man, like my dad, his 2 brothers, they always grew up like watching the Giants. So like just that, and I still got like family who lives in that New York, New Jersey area. I'm pretty sure they're all Jets fans, by the way. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, like my cousins, we all used to just like sit and watch the Giants when we would all be together, like in the fall when I was like 6, 7 years old. And so that's why like I will always have like a place in my heart for the Giants. Jules, you.
No, wait, hold on. I gotta ask you a question. All right, if the Bears, because I always wanted to know this when I started working with you, if the Bears and Giants play each other, do you just like lose your fucking mind? Like, do you just fucking go absolutely apeshit? Do you have to turn off the TV? Do you watch it? Like, what happens to you?
Honestly, dude, like I gotta watch it because like I will watch every football game I can get my hands on. Like to be, dude, football's football. Whether like the Bears are playing the Packers or like the Giants are playing like whoever, I'll watch the game to watch the game. I will say this though, because I have the media pass with the Bears and whatnot, I kind of got to pay like special emphasis on the Bears because like when the game's all over and everything, like I got to write the story from like a neutral perspective, but throw a bit of like, Bears, like more Bears analysis in there. Right. But like honestly, I mean the Bears and Giants, this would be like the 3rd straight year that they're playing. So it's going to be no different, man. I'll turn the thing on. I'll evaluate like both teams, be like, well, this is what you do. This is like what you're doing well. This is like what you're absolute trash at. And then just like, because for the Brawl Network, I'm going to start doing like some NFL related stuff. So I'll have to pay attention to like every team, man. But yeah, for me, it's always just bringing like a neutral mindset unless like, the Giants or like the Bears are playing like the Packers and Cowboys, for example. Then I'm going to root for my own team.
Right.
For me, I got to say it was kind of similar to Mike, but different in a way, right? It had to do with family, except my family were all Yankee, Jet fans, things like that, right? And don't forget, in the 80s, the Yankees sucked, right? Like, there was some hard times going through with those teams. And here with the Jets, they suck too. And I'm like, I'm not going to root for another New York team that sucks. You had the Mets. They were successful in the 80s. So you know what? The Giants are awesome, man. They got this guy called Lawrence Taylor that just like kills people and breaks people's legs and stuff. Like, this shit is awesome. I'm like, I am rooting for them. I don't care. And this is coming from a family that not only did they have the fan base for the Jets, my mother's first cousin played on the 69 team. I literally had the Super Bowl III ring on my finger. I joked with him one time, and he got me like Joe Namath's autograph and like all the Jets at the time. And I was like, this is cool, and it's like cool memorabilia, but I'm still a Giants fan, so I'm just going to kind of stick to that. Like, I'm going to be like, fuck you guys, because obviously you don't know what teams to root for, because these Yankees, they might have been good, but they suck right now. So I'm going to root with the Giants here. That's it. And that's the only time I'll ever say Yankees suck, but of course. And that was it, man. I stayed blue from there.
Did you get Tiki Barber's autograph sometime?
I did. I got Tiki's. I got everybody's.
Didn't you yell at Rondé, though? You yelled at one of them, right, Mike? One of the Barber brothers.
Rondé Barber was walking out of like Giant Stadium, and I went nuts on him. I was like, "You could never be." I'm like, "You suck, Tiki." He's like, "I'm on Rondé." I'm like, "I don't care." I'm like,
yeah. What about you, man?
So my uncle is a big Giants fan, so that had a lot to do with it. And because I used to be really, really close to my uncle, and we would watch football together. But I don't really know if he helped get me into it, but I think I kind of just got into it on my own. I got into it like right at that 2008 Super Bowl victory. I think that might have been like one of the first football games I ever really watched. And I wasn't necessarily like I was rooting for the Giants, of course, because we had a whole Super Bowl party. Everybody was rooting for the Giants, so I was rooting for the Giants too. So I rooted for the Giants there, but it was the year after that when I was like, man, that was really cool. I like the Giants, and then I rewatched that like throughout the next few years. I rewatched that 2000 Super Bowl 42. I rewatched that like 200 times, like ridiculous amount of times. Anywhere I was, I had my little device that my parents got me, and I was watching Super Bowl 42 like all the time. And people were like, "Haven't you seen that? Don't you know how it ends?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. I want to watch it again." So then I just became a big Giants fan, and then my mom became a big Giants fan with me because she realized how much I love it. So then she got into it. Now she loves it just as much as I do. And then I guess I don't know if there was like any one moment. Maybe you could say that Super Bowl was that moment or what. But around then, my uncle, because that's when I lived in Florida the first time, because I moved back and forth a few times. But he definitely kind of pushed me into it. But I kind of took my own path and just got really into it on my own. And probably just from I wouldn't say necessarily that Super Bowl is what got me into it, but rewatching that Super Bowl like 300 times, however many times I did, that's when I became a huge Giants fan. And I fell in love with Eli Manning and everything he did in that game and all that stuff. And then years later, and I also I have an older cousin who's a huge Cowboys fan, and he actually got me into the Giants even more because I figured out we were rivals. So I started to love the Giants, and I loved the rivalry, and so that helped. And you know, we still to this day, whenever we talk to each other, we talk shit back and forth. I'm like, yeah, what are your Cowboys going to do this year? 8-8. And he'll be like, yeah, what are your Giants going to do? Top 10 pick. And then, you know, we'll go back and forth. But, that's pretty much it.
I forgot how, like, young you guys are because I remember, like, and you said it too, because in, like, the 86 Super Bowl, like, when the Giants won it, like, I was watching that game, like, as much times as I can, but it was, like, on VHS tape. It was a VCR. I don't know if you guys but a VCR would put in this tape in this machine that was hooked up to the TV, and it would play it. You'd hit rewind, fast forward, and then one day the VCR ate my tape. It literally eats your tapes, and then it don't work. Oh my God! So I went absolutely apeshit. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, Mom, Dad, I can't watch the fucking Giants. This fucking tape. I fucking lost my shit, man. I was fucking like 9.
Yeah, I'm definitely the youngest of the group here. So, I started watching 2008-ish, and I'm only 18 now. So I was about 10 when, if my math is off, 8, 10. I don't know. I am tired, like you said.
In your 20s, you're gonna see at least over 7 more Super Bowl rings.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be a good time for you, man. It's gonna be a great life. Enjoy.
Well, I remember the VHS, man, because so when we used to live in like New York, New Jersey, I used to live in like my grandparents' house, and they had been in that area since like the 70s, you know, because they were immigrants to the U.S. But like, I swear, I remember the VHS, dude. I'm pretty sure I found like an old typewriter in the storage room the other day. I turned it on, dude.
Did you know how to use it?
Yeah, obviously, like I grown like just I guess for me, dude. With all the stuff like my family's collected over the years, just like a lot of old things you find. I found like a CD player the other day. We still got like a Blu-ray player, even though like those the last like 4 or 5 years, man, have kind of been like phased out as well, because like you can just stream everything, or everything like you get a DVD, you just play it on like PS4. But like I will still though go on like, so I got like NFL Game Pass and whatnot. I'll go on there and watch like a whole bunch of the old games and whatnot. I don't know why, but last summer I was super bored. So like I ended up watching like Jay Cutler's first start with the Bears, went back and watched like the Super Bowl. Obviously, like they got channels now like NFL throwbacks on YouTube. So I was watching like old Lawrence Taylor highlights and whatnot. But it was, football's football, dude. If there's a game that's on, I'll watch it, unless it's like 2 super boring teams, because then I'll just fall asleep.
Dude, if you watch games from the 80s, like every single play, every single hit would be a flag nowadays. It was that crazy. Like people, they were at your head, your neck. Like it was just. Looking back on it, it's kind of like dangerous. Like it's very dangerous. I don't know why anybody would play it.
Yo, Mike, you're so right with that. I remember going crazy as a little kid when we knocked out Joe Montana. The dude was like, he was cross-eyed. We hit him so hard because he had a concussion. And I was like, yeah, kill him. Blah, blah, blah. Nowadays, it's like, moment of silence. I hope he could walk. Could he move his limbs? You know, like, it was the era. That was the culture back then. It was just like, yeah, kill the quarterback. Ah.
All right, I don't want to see no thumbs up. I was just like, drag him off the field.
Get him off the field and let's play.
Well, that's still kind of like the mindset, you know, because like when I'm up close to these like coaches, because keep in mind, dude, a lot of these coaches in the NFL right now, like especially the defensive ones, are like 60 to 70 years old, so they were up and coming like during that time, you know. That's still like the mindset, because like I've heard like Vic Fangio's friggin' grandpa, right? I spent like a lot of time getting like, not like, I don't know Vic Fangio personally, but just being like up close to him as like the Bears defensive coordinator. Like I seen Chuck Pagano, dude. Like these guys will still teach their defensive players like to beat the shit out of the quarterback, because like you gotta have an angry mindset to play this game. You know, it ain't like a nice guy game. So
no doubt. No doubt. I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't fucking play it. You know what I mean? I don't want to get fucking a broken leg. Crazy. Why would I want to do that?
I don't know, man. You know, but yeah, like I said though, like for me, I will still have like a genuine love for this game, dude, because like this is what you play. This is what I played, dude, back in like 5th grade, when you'd obviously be like trash talking everyone and whatnot. I have not played though, like in so long though. I'm pretty sure, dude, when I was in like 6th, 7th grade, my brothers and because I have 2 younger brothers, right? But we used to be playing like football in the front yard. And all like the neighbors would be like driving by, and I straight up would just be like, yo, I'm gonna be like an NFL wide receiver, because like you have those like kind of dreams. And this was around the time that like T.O. was on the Cowboys.
Yeah, I wanted to be a quarterback.
I'll tell you one thing though, and this just kind of amplifies how much, you know, I enjoy football, and people would sit back and be like, oh, you're a bigger Giants fan, Yankees fan. I'm like, I'll tell you this much. I know I can, and I have, and will to this day. If there's a high school football championship game going on right now, and I can go watch that live over here in New Jersey, where they have some really good talented teams, or down in Florida, where I know they have another bunch of talented high school football teams, I'm watching that. You think I could ever watch a high school baseball game? I can't even watch the College World Series on ESPN, let alone like watching a high school game. So like, to me, that's just the difference in the games in itself. You know, football is just exciting from any level, from all the way down to like even peewees for like, you know, parents that are putting their kids into it. You know, it's a different type of sport altogether.
Yo, speaking of, you know, high school football in the air, so my high school, there's a quarterback who like got not drafted to the NFL. I'm pretty sure he was undrafted, dude. He grew up in my town of Wheaton, Illinois. I kid you not, this dude got cut by, I think, yeah, he was on the Eagles, got cut from there, signed with the Cowboys.
Of course he did.
Of course, bro. No, as much as and you know what the funny story was? So this dude's name is Clayton Thorson, and his dad was like a linebacker for the Giants on the practice squad. I kid you, back in like the 80s, right? I kid you not, one time, so I was, you know, my first job was like being a cashier at a grocery store. So I'm scanning, you know, I'm scanning the groceries, dude, talking to my bagger, who also happened to be like good friend of mine, because we obviously went to the same high school. You know how it was with those jobs back in high school, man, is everyone wanted to apply at the same place because you want to hang out with your friends after school and get paid to do so.
Yeah.
Now for me, right, I'm scanning the groceries, and like, you know, the credit card, like when you pay with your credit card on our system, like I guess the name would pop up. The name was Chad Thorson, and I knew like Chad Thorson was with the Giants for sometimes. I kid you not, the whole time I'm talking shit about Clayton. I'm like, yo, he's trash. This kid's not going anywhere. He's not doing anything. And I think the mom was giving me like a death glare. But lo and behold, I was right. You know, their son's not NFL worthy. All right, guys. So anything last minute, because Anthony's sleepy, so we should probably get out of here.
Definitely sleepy. I'll just say I did have one NFL player come out of my high school as well. It was Cody Parkey. I know you know that name all too well, Usaid.
Well, you guys were all, were you guys, did you, if you guys watched that, let me ask you guys, did you guys root for the Bears that night? Because, like, you obviously, like, I would never root for the Packers in the playoffs.
It was against the Eagles, wasn't it?
I mean,
it was against the Eagles, and of course I was rooting for the Bears because, fuck the Eagles. But, Cody Parkey, that kick was blocked. It wasn't his fault. I'm always going to stand by that. Guy from Jupiter, he doesn't deserve the hate that he gets.
It hit
yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He does.
It was a blocked kick. How does he deserve that hate?
You get the block kick, dude, but first off, the dude missed like 10 field goals that year.
Yeah, but he doesn't deserve it.
I don't know, man. Whatever. I'm still not 100% over the double doink. I just don't. The thing is, the double doink, dude, is the worst way to lose a playoff game. I would not wish it. I would not wish it on any franchise except the Packers and Cowboys. I would leave it at that.
That's so true, man.
Oh, I'll leave it with Cowboys Brawl. You better be watching out for me on Twitter because I'm gonna be bothered. You thought this past weekend was rough? Oh man, this season ain't even start yet.
Always. See where you started, Cowboys, bro? We're coming after you.
That's it.
Okay, let's see, I gotta oversee all these people, so I'll let the guys over at Cowboys Brawl know that you're gonna come after them. I don't know, maybe once the Cowboys and Giants play, we'll do like a crossover episode. I have no idea, man. But for now, guys, speaking of following Jules on Twitter, follow him on Twitter at Jules914. 918 at Jules
914718 because I cover all sports in New York.
Follow Mike on Twitter at Mike Trainer MFT. Anthony's on Twitter at Anthony_Rivardo. I'm on Twitter at Usaid Koshar. I've been tweeting a lot of random stuff recently, going after like all the Brawl accounts just from my personal, just because I can. I was making fun of Julius, he's a Lions fan, man. So hit him up for all sorts of smack talk as well. All right, if you're want to make fun of the Lions, but yeah, follow the social media account, guys, for the podcast at Giants Brawl on Facebook and Twitter, at Giants.Brawl on Instagram. We'll be back next week with another episode. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but yeah, we'll figure it out because we got a week to do so. Peace out, guys.